SOFM can do. Peanut on the other side of the board. As we've said before, he's the driving force here for LGD, and he's going to need to be if he wants to win out this series. LGD 1-4 on the scoreboard, and Suning, they're looking good in game number 2. Let's see if they can keep that momentum rolling.
Going back to your point on the Sejuani, from talking to some of the LPL teams, LPL players really do view Sejuani as kind of a budget Jarvan who, again, you're fulfilling the same role, but Jarvan has a lot more early game agency.
Angel's actually been caught here on this Cassidy. He will be forced back to base there. Nothing too much going to come from that one in the end, though. Everybody backing away, but some good vision will be placed undoubtedly here from the side of LGD. There's going to be a ward. A couple of deep wards, actually, when you look at the minimap from Suning. One over towards the banana bush there. One on the back of Dragon Pit.
Good invade coming out from LGD when you notice that, again, Suning are running a Kassadin and a Sejuani. These are not strong level 1 champions that can contest the likes of something like a Nautilus and a Zoe, and they are going to be able to look to get this blue, you know, unscathed, uncontested.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, there'll be very little contest at this point. I mean, honestly, for Suning, if they contest this blue buff, well, they're going to do it. I don't want to say anything too controversial because Sawdust's walking at them, but they're not going to go for it in the end. I think correct decision.
I was going to say, I don't think it's controversial. Had they gone for that, it would have been bad.
Yeah, I mean, 2v3 as well, but they do decide against it in the end. I was just like, do you know what? I've made enough statements like that and then watched LPL players like blow my mind that it's just not worth it at this point anymore.
That is true.
Here we go. Hook in the bottom lane. Sword gets some Ren stacks on himself. But Kramer actually wasn't in range of Sword Art when he procced his Ren, so doesn't get too much damage off there.
Yeah, and when you are Nautilus Kalista in this matchup, again, going back to that Game 1 Hail of Blades build, I think he built it once again Game 2. You are looking for these shorter traits to get that burst off with Nautilus, with Aftershock, and the Kalista.
Nice aggression there from Sword Art, knowing that he's got the level 2 spike coming up, and Chance has to respect that. He has to back away. Even if Sword Art is pushed aggressively, you know that partway through the fight, if they hit level 2, you lose.
Yup, and kind of looking across the board at the side of Suning. Ooh, we see Sleepy Trouble Bubble. That's why Sword Art doesn't have Flash. Good coming out from Yuki. But just look across the board at Suning's champions. We do see a lot more scaling, a lot more late game. Maybe they're kind of recognizing the pattern of the series is going much slower in the early game, right? They are the ones forcing the tempo. LGD typically hasn't been doing too much this series.
Yeah, and that may well continue when you look at their composition. They very much want to scale up. They want some items behind them. Peanut, though, on the Jarvan. He could be the one to change things up there. The question is, though, which lane do you really go for? Sword Art actually getting hooked in here, but it's going to be answered with a hook of his own. Ignite goes down. Huanfeng following up on the damage. Piercing arrow does a little bit. It's not quite enough to finish a kill off.
And really good trade coming out from Sword Art right there, getting the better end of that exchange. LGD having pressure in the mid lane, looking to force SOFM off of the Scuttle Crab.
Oh, Jarvan bullies away budget Jarvan. Take that, SOFM.
Yeah. Oh my god. Well
played. There you go. That's the value of the draft plays right there. But Angel just going to be trying to clear away in the mid lane. And this is always one of the most difficult parts of the game for Kassadin, right? You pick this for after the level 6, or you pick this for after level 11, honestly. It's always going to suck in the early lane phase. Oh, Hook, though, comes through. Kramer forced to flash. There's a flay as well. Big damage from Huanfeng. And what a kill. 2v2 from Suning. Actually, more fighting in the top lane as well. Bew. He's been baited into a 1v1, but it's not a 1v1 after all.
Oh.
Flash from Bew, though. He will get away.
And going back to that kill in bot lane, we don't really see solo kills in the bot lane anymore unless you're getting one of those kind of cheesy, wait in the brush, pretend you backed, and, you know, trick the enemy AD carry. So really good play from Sword Art. Again, we've seen constant aggression in this bot lane, them constantly winning out on the trades against Kramer and Chance.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a shame for them that the kill did go onto the side of Sword Art, but ultimately, you're still going to be happy with a kill. You're still going to be happy with shutting down Kramer and being able to force a wave or two into the tower.
150 gold, assist gold going on to Huanfeng, you're still happy.
Yeah, you definitely take those for yourself. And now Dragon going to be spawning onto the map. We've seen a lot of early focus from both of these teams when it comes to that objective. And you can see the bottom lanes going to be both in position for that one. But both junglers on the top half of the map right now.
Suning probably won't be looking for this early dragon when you do have something like a Kassadin in the mid game that is just constantly sitting under tower, as we see about 10 CS behind. The only avenue that Suning have to look for this dragon is if they can get like a lane gank or some kind of pressure through the bot lane and then convert that into a dragon.
I want to ask you about this Kassadin a little bit, actually, because the way that people have been playing it in the LPL, they've not been waiting for the 30-minute mark like you classically see on the Kassadin. Usually, when you think of Kassadin, you think of farm up for hours and hours and then one-shot everyone in the late game, but we've actually seen a lot of early game team fighting out of Kassadin.
And it comes back to a discussion we started to have earlier before it got interrupted by the typical LPL action. It feels like late game is much earlier now and mid game is much shorter. When you have things like so much turret plating gold, high kill bounties, things along these lines where snowballing is so incentivized, we're really hitting mid-game at like 15 minutes, and then suddenly 25 minutes we're already in the late game where people have 3-4 items.
Yeah, I mean, quite often it feels like the late game is 2 items at this point. You end up with these full 5v5 team fights so regularly. But it is going to be LGD that start things off strong. As you mentioned, Suning not going to contest for the first dragon of this game. They do have themselves a little bit of a gold lead. It's going to be mostly down to the kill that came out in the bottom lane. But across the board, Suning, they're going to be happy to take this one slow.
Yeah, Suning, you would think they have the superior scaling. You once again have the Ornn, you have Sejuani cast, and you have a lot of tools in the late game, but LGD will still have some avenues to play through. They do also have a really big, beefy frontline in this Maokai, Nautilus, Jarvan. Will really come down to how these teams use their pressure and how they execute, which kind of is what it always comes down to in LPL.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of teams in the LPL, they'll draft a composition that maybe has some kind of weird specific win conditions, but ultimately it comes down to the team fight, and it comes down to the mechanics. And Sword Art showing his off here as they get yet another hook, yet another nice trade onto Chance.
Going back to what you were just saying, but we see Suning posturing to catch out Peanut. Actually, they don't even know Peanut's here. They're looking for a dive.
I want to go for this one. Chance is there. SOFM ults over the wall. They're going straight onto Chance. There's a hook as well, and the Nautilus will drop. Can they trade it back? Sword Art flashes to safety. SOFM late to the play. So
much burst coming out from the side of Suning. It's really confusing that it looked like both teams kind of knew what the other was doing. It looked like Peanut knew that SOFM was there, and it looked like SOFM was waiting for Peanut. Just all happened by chance. Yeah. Peanut starts his recall. SOFM able to get that ultimate. They're able to burst down Kramer pretty easily.
Yeah. It was Peanut that was late to the play, not SOFM. As my brain's doing somersaults right now.
Hey,
but
this has been a long series.
It's been an action-packed series, though. It's been an exciting series between these two teams. And that's what we want to see out of teams that so far haven't been able to get a positive win record on the board. Suning, though, they could equalize right now. If they can win game number 3, they would be 7-7 when it comes to game win-loss. SOFM there to block away. Should Yuki have... Oh, Yuki doesn't get the blue buff. He doesn't have enough mana to do anything about it either. Oh, that's embarrassing. We'll get it at the end.
Still works out in the end, and it's kind of funny that we set up that Suning shouldn't want to look for these team fights right now, but as you pointed out, teams have really been ignoring that in their cast and compositions. They're fine forcing this objective, and LGD didn't want to contest, which I think is pretty confusing when you would think right now you should feel pretty good in these fights if you can land that poke from Yuki.
Yeah, and SOFM just giving Peanut the eyes right there, saying, you know what? You think I'm the budget Jarvan, you're actually the budget Sejuani after all. Walks away with the objective. So nice stuff coming out from SOFM. And so far he's actually showing that he's been able to be more effective in this early game.
Yeah, we have seen him do more this time around, but I think Suning had a really good read on the series drafting these champions where, again, we're 10 minutes into the game and you still only have 2 kills on the board.
Sword Art narrowly missing a death sentence there. Will be able to drop himself a ward in the Tri-Brush, but it's going to be cleared up by Peanut and Chance. Both junglers up towards this top side, though. You'd expect that means Peanut, he's going to back away. Can't go for a dive in this situation.
We already know when you're drafting things like an Ornn and a Maokai, there is going to be no action around your top laners. It is going to be all about your engaged bot lanes. Thresh versus Nautilus. We have a Kalista in there. But we're not really seeing any action other than when teams start these big objectives.
Well, unfortunately for Angel, just seen him recall there, gets the blasting one, but doesn't have the gold right now to finish off his Rod of Ages. It's such a huge power spike for Kassadin. It's one of those interesting ones, though. Obviously, Rod of Ages takes a little while before it comes online, but the sooner you can get it, the sooner that power spike will come.
Yeah. And taking a step back, again, we did just say it's 10 minutes, only 2 kills on the board. When you look at these compositions, you really would have liked to see LGD use that pressure coming in from Yuki and force more, 4v3, 4v2 skirmishes on the bot lane.
So I've just seen something really interesting from Angel there that I just want to bring up. He actually used a ton of Rift Walks to get back to lane there. When he arrived in lane, he was basically already because he knew he was about to get this blue buff from SOFM. So really nice use of the Rift Walk, even though obviously it increases in mana cost. When you're about to get the blue anyway, you can save that teleport for later.
Suning creating that artificial tempo. That's what we like to see.
Very nicely done from them. And it does mean we just talked about the Rod of Ages. When he does actually get the gold to finish that one off, he'll still have the teleport available to get back into the action immediately.
Yep, and Suning being the ones to stay in that top side with their bot lane, they have been able to get a ton of plate gold onto Huanfeng once again. Building up, actually they didn't build up any bulwark because Huanfeng was taking that solo, but still funneling tons of plates onto him. Suning doing Suning.
Yep, this is rinse and repeat every single game. This time they're going to give up a second Drake for it though. LGD for the first time with 2 Drakes to 0 in this series. And you have to question whether or not Suning need to start to contest those the longer this game goes on.
Suning have felt pretty good just funnel gold onto their carries when they are the ones who feel like they have the superior scaling and just saying, hey, we're going to accelerate the gold in this game and get to that late game point even faster where we know we win.
Yeah, I mean, Kassadin definitely one of those champions that it feels like pretty much outscales anyone, just about. There's a couple of other contenders, maybe things like the Vayne, but ultimately, Kassadin is one of those absolute hyper carries.
Yep. Absolutely a hyper carry. Good to just keep accelerating the gold for your team. And we've touched on this before in broadcast that the individual Drakes don't really matter as much because, whatever you're getting, whether it's the 4% damage or the resistances, it doesn't equal out to a lot when you're only getting one of them.
Certainly not. And it will be for the second game in a row, by the way, the Ocean Rift coming on through. So the extra brushes, the extra honey fruit, and then when the soul comes on through, a whole lot of sustain. The most important thing, though, that brush at the back of the Dragon Pit, it changes so many games.
It really does, and Ocean Soul, widely regarded as the best soul in the game.
Kramer's been caught out here, has to flash very early, but that opens Sword Art up for a whole bunch of CC. They donate the kill to Huanfeng, and why not?
Yeah, and LGD just kind of caught with their heads down. We see Lies making his way down. Kramer was overextended farming. No one was showing on Suning's lanes, and he still felt okay being that far up in the lane.
And yet more plates going towards Huanfeng on this Varus. They're loving this pick, they're loving this AD carry, and they're loving setting him up in the early game. The Lantern going to pull him to safety, just going to bait out the hook from Chance while he's at it, and then we'll clear another wave. Why not?
For the past few weeks, LGD have looked so good in the early games, and then they would typically just kind of lose it when it comes to mid and late game. But this series, we've seen LGD do pretty much nothing all 3 games in a row.
We're actually going to see complete commitment to this tower here. SOFM behind. There's a hook coming down onto the likes of Peanut. Good damage across the board, but it's going to be Sword Art that falls first. And Chance has a stopwatch to keep himself alive. Fate's Call denies the ulti from SOFM. A nice little answer there from LGD.
That was really over-aggressive coming in from Suning when it was pretty much a 3v4 under their own turret, so a 4v4 realistically.
We mentioned the early game Kassadin's here. Angel wanted to extend this play, but with the plates gone down, they're happy to continue to force on this tower. Huanfeng will grab himself an extra pocket of change.
Yeah, Suning just continuing to accelerate this game. 800 gold on the Huanfeng. We already showed earlier he is first in gold percent, first in damage percent, 80 carries.
That's almost 3 kills worth of gold going into his pocket just from towers alone there. He's getting accelerated so quickly.
4,000 gold lead at 14 minutes. But let's slow down. We did see something similar to this in game 1.
That's true.
But I also do feel like Suning's composition is much better set up for success this time around.
Have to agree with you there, and you can see Angel finish that Rod of Ages, if I can speak at all. He's going to be scaling up, already 2 minutes onto that one. And he's had to use that teleport to get back on into the play because we do see the Rift Herald has been started on by him and his squad.
Honestly, I'm not quite sure what LGD are thinking this game. They are continuously just giving up objectives. Didn't contest in the top side. We're too late bot lane to really trade anything down there. Didn't contest the first Rift Herald. Not contesting the second Rift Herald. LGD seemed to think, hey, we have the better scaling. We're just going to wait for the next dragon fight, and we're going to win.
I mean, it kind of worked in game one. They were against a pretty heavy scaling composition from the side of Suning, but they said, hey, Kramer, you got the Kalista. We're going to focus at every single game for you. It's time for you to win this one. This one's on your shoulders. And maybe just saying that in game number 3 as well.
That does look like what they're saying, but I don't think it's going to work out the same way when you are versing a Kassadin and a Sejuani, which have a lot easier time of sticking onto that Kalista.
Yeah, I have to say, if I'm the Kalista in solo queue, it's not looking good against the composition like this. There's a lot of CC there, and there's a lot of burst damage. Sword Art looking for some of that CC. Heads over towards Peanut, but can't quite find the hook to start with. Just clearing away some vision. Trouble Bubble goes down onto SOFM. It's not really the target they're looking for a pick for, though.
Yeah, and we just saw Angel and Bubu did zone off Kramer from bot side.
Very early stopwatch coming out there from Peanut. Does mean he gets away with his flash. Now Yuki coming into the fray as well. Massive damage onto Wanfeng, shut down immediately. Peanut going to be traded though. Triple knockup going on to the squad. Huge damage coming out from LGD, but they can't quite finish these targets off. Angel still alive as Sword Art going to be abandoned by the rest of his squad here. That kill going to be given over to Kramer. Third Drake of the game though, going the way of LGD.
Suning's formation just really ended up getting lost there with Angel and Bubu wrapping around, zoning off Kramer from the fight, but it allowed Lies, Peanut, and Chance just to get right on top of Wanfeng. And again, we talked about how LPL teams are willing to team fight with this Kassadin in early stages in the game, but it still realistically can't do much at 17 minutes into the game.
Yeah, that did not work out for them at all. And Wanfeng, I'm seeing echoes of game 1 here as on this Varus getting caught out, getting shut down. And there's a lot of ability to shut him down as well. When you look at Lies, Peanut, and Chance, they have so much CC.
And we see here again that the team had split up. They end up back together. Sleepy Trouble Bubble hitting from Yuki. And then everyone just flashing in right on top of Wanfeng. Very decisive team fight coming out from LGD, which gives Kramer time to walk around from the Krugs, get in, and deal with this front line from Suning.
And you know, we've been talking so much about how great Wanfeng has been playing, but ultimately, this fight is lost because Wanfeng steps too far forward and gets hit by a bubble. And
yeah, very good Sleepy Trouble Bubble coming out from Yuki. Wanfeng, again, he is still a rookie in LPL. This isn't something we talk about a whole lot. He did come from the LDL champions, IG Youth, and this is his first time in the spotlight.
Yeah, well, Oppo reckon that he's OP, but I don't think that was the team fight to show that graphic afterwards, to be quite honest. But you know, that's live. Ultimately, though, he's still going to be feeling fine. I feel like I'm bullying him a little bit off of the back of that play.
Look at that picture down there of him, Munch. He's a fearless monster.
He is fierce, just like the Suning logo. The claws coming on out. It's like attempted fierce, but just a little bit too adorable.
It is kind of nice comparing these two pictures where you see this like grizzled veteran and Kramer looks so confident, and this like cute little rookie in Wanfeng just.
He is adorable, isn't he? But he's not so adorable on the Rift, especially if you are the likes of LGD, because they, especially in game number 2, were really struggling to get onto the likes of him. Yuki jumping forward will get a Trouble Bubble. Sword Art jumps straight into the fray, though, and he's got the backup of Wanfeng. That was huge damage coming out from the AD carry. Now on Chance, there's the double, there's a triple. I guess he was OP after all.
Wanfeng coming in huge in that team fight. It honestly looked really bad at first, like we were seeing Suning once again miscoordinating with Sword Art going in too early, but having that faith that Wanfeng can back him up and clean it up on the end.
Man, I couldn't believe what I was witnessing. I was like, Sword Art's inting, I guess, but no, they could just 2v3 comfortably. They go for the play. Now they get rewarded with a turret as well. Suddenly, everything looking great for Suning.
I was already formulating my thoughts, like, man, what is Sword Art doing? This is the Suning we know of, this miscoordination coming out, but big brain play coming out from Sorda, having great trust in his AD carry. And we're going to see it once again right here.
Look at this 2v4.
I just can't believe they have the damage to pull this off. They do though. Ooh, just look at the lethal tempo coming in from Hwanfeng. And then Bubu wrapping around, zoning off the carries from LGD. So once again, Bubu having one of his better series here today against LGD.
Angel's been relatively quiet as well so far on this cast. They've not been a part of most of the plays here. He's just on 1 assist out of 7. But that's okay, because even though we've been talking about how the Castins in the LPL do like to do things early game, contrary to the way you'd expect that champion to work, it is still Castidin. And when you do start to get some items, you will still just snowball out of control.
The problem is that Angel set such a high standard against BLG with this Castidin,
Yeah.
where by this point he was pretty much already carrying the game. So just not realistic to consistently live up to that bar when you are, like you said, a Castidin.
That's the thing. We saw Angel against BLG on the casting, getting a couple of triple kills in the early stages. We saw Doin B getting his pentakill. I think that was at like 18 minutes as well. So suddenly your expectations of a champion go a little bit out of whack.
Right now, Suning are playing through their side lanes, which is what you would expect. You don't have anyone at this point who can challenge that Castidin in the bot lane. LGD are going to have to send someone to catch that wave before they can look to make a play.
Suning, as of right now, with complete control of the map. They've got a 5,000 gold lead, but most importantly, they have 0 dragons. The next one will be spawning in 50 seconds time. If Peanut could go for a steal on that one, that is a steal that is well and truly worth sacrificing your life for.
It really is. We already talked about Ocean Soul is the best soul in the game, but we've already seen, like yesterday, teams that typically have better side lane control can come out ahead in these exchanges, and we are seeing Suning doing a great job of controlling these side lanes going into the dragon fight.
Question will be, can they set that one up for themselves here? Kramer still just going to be on a singular item and a whole bunch of daggers. Take a look at the other side of the scoreboard, ladies and gentlemen. Hwanfeng already with 3 tier 3 items. He is a monster. He's hit late game Varus against a 1-item Kalista right now. If you look at the side of LGD, they just cannot team fight.
I don't feel like this is even fair to talk about when you look at that item discrepancy. Again, I want to see Peanut go for a steal, because the longer this game goes, the harder it's going to get. We already see those Ornn items starting to come out.
Now, Suning positioning pretty aggressively here. Maybe want a fight. Swordart doesn't quite land the death sentence, though. And it means that LGD will walk away with their lives. But Baron is available. And I don't know if LGD could reasonably contest it.
But if you're Suning, you're willing to just take this game slow, keep Angel in a side lane, use the TP pressure that you have, pull someone down towards that lane, and then again, we can see what does Angel want to go for. Does he want to roam to the mid lane and see Suning force a numbers advantage? They could try to pull the TP out from Lies, set this lane up and make the play again. Just all the cards right now are with Suning.
Lies does have a good amount of MR to work with, though, so he will be able to mitigate some of the pressure coming out from the side of Angel down in that bottom lane. Obviously, the Sap Magic passive coming out from Maokai does mean that, especially against mages, you do exceptionally well at just sustaining through those kind of situations.
Yep, that is exactly how it works. We do see Suning once again just setting up their lane states. We do have 4 minutes until the next Drake, but I think we can see Suning look to force a Baron fight even before that. You have 2 items on the Castidin.
They do. They've just finished that Archangels. And eventually that'll turn into a Seraphs as well. Obviously, he did go for a bit of a later tier so that he could finish his Rod of Ages early on. So won't have the shield just yet. But that's a whole bunch of AP he's going to have to work with. And you mentioned it. They're going to go for this early Baron. And like we said before, I'm not sure that there's much of a contest available from the side of Peanut and Chance.
Yep, we see LGD finally know what's happening, but sort of hitting that death sentence does look like they just want to peel off. I would have liked to see them make a more aggressive contest for that. You could have Angel back off and, of course, look for a flank. We do see this great ward here in the mid lane.
Yeah, there is quite a deep ward available for him if he does try and go for a flank, but you can see Lies walking up to join the rest of his team. No, he's changed his mind, realizes he needs to go down to this bottom lane and deal with Angel.
And Hwanfeng, we see from the graphic, 41% of his team's damage this game. Keeping up those first damage numbers.
Yeah, I mean, it's not that surprising when you consider how this game has gone so far, especially with the 2v4 in the mid lane we saw them pulling on out. Chance has been baited though, forced the flash on this Nautilus. We've got Bubu versus Peanut on the top side right now as SOFM joining up with his top laner, Huanfeng. There's a TP from Lies, Twisted Advance, there's a bit of CC, but there's no follow-up whatsoever. Chains of Corruption as Maokai will go down. And now Chance has been hooked as well. Fate's Call just to try and save the support. And it's all we seem to see it used for in this series.
The patience coming out from Suning in that exchange was really good. We saw them being the ones to chase down LGD. The second that TP started channeling from Lies, Suning took a deep breath, took a step back, and kited out the Maokai, knowing, hey, this game we need to protect Huanfeng.
And you've already been talking about it. The TP advantage is now in favor of Suning. They can send Angel back to that bottom side, and they can set up for this Baron once again.
Yep, very standard play when you have winning side lanes in League of Legends. Send out your winning sides, try to force either a skirmish or force the Baron, bring that TP out, back off, and do it again.
And the really scary thing here for the side of LGD is that this is only going to get worse. Like, Varus is still scaling up. Varus is still going to be increasing his damage. He's now going to Hex Drinker. Not even going for something like the QSS there. He's not afraid of trouble bubbles. He's just going for a little bit of MR to work with, but still building damage.
Yeah, you saw from game one that he had a big problem surviving those team fights on that forest. If survivability is the name of the game, build this Hex Drinker, and again, you're just dishing out so much damage when you have such an item advantage over Kramer.
So now Dragon going to be spawning once again in a minute's time. They have a double TP advantage though on the side of Suning. Angel going to be moving up towards the top lane, as we'll see Bubu joining up with his team. Could move down towards the bottom side of the map if he so chooses. There is a ward in the Dragon Pit from LGD right now.
Yeah, right now Suning are trying to pull LGD across the map saying, hey, you need to come answer this top wave. If you don't, we're going to pressure some towers. We're going to pressure Inhibitor. LGD, of course, don't have that option. They are so far behind. They just need to group as 5 and try and take this fight and get the soul.
Angel going to be TPing. They want to force the play right now. Angel with the flank. Peanut can't get onto SOFM. Now Sword Art might just look for a hook. That's a huge ultimate. Goes straight onto Kramer. He's obliterated in this fight. Angel onto the backline. He has a stopwatch though, so it'll be A-OK. And Lies, suddenly alone, will be finished off. Double kill comes through for Bubu. And that's going to be a Dragon as the reward.
Wonderful chain of ultimates coming out from Suning. Also really good flank angle from Angel. We saw him able to get straight to the back line, but by that time Kramer was already dead. He was on top of Yuki. Yuki still managed to get away, but if you're Suning, you're happy getting that second Ocean Drake, and now you can threaten Baron. You can take Baron.
I was going to say, I'm not sure that this is a threat. This is definitely going to happen right here. Huanfeng moving on up. They have percent damage coming out from the Blade of the Rune King. They've got Angel that can keep Yuki and Peanut at bay. This is all but done for.
Yeah, LGD don't really have many options left in this game. They don't have any options left, honestly. You need to hope that Suning makes a mistake.
But that's the thing, right?
Yeah.
Because we saw that in game number 1. Suning looked like they had that game in the bag, and it didn't really work out for them. No LPL game is ever quite over, and especially we've got Kramer on this Kalista. We saw him do it in game number 1.
Just great ultimate coming out from SOFM, followed up by the call of the Forge God from Bubu. We see Angel on the backline forcing Yuki out early. Good Zhonya's coming in, and now without the main damage dealer from the side of LGD, Suning and take everything.
The really crazy thing about that fight for me is that wasn't even Huanfeng carrying the fight. He was up being zoned out by Lies. He was trying to get through the health bar of Chance and like didn't really get on into the fray. It was much more about Angel, much more about SOFM getting onto Kramer and then bullying the rest of the squad away.
Even though we've really been hammering home that Huanfeng is the focus of this team has amazing individual talent. SOFM, Sword Art, both really good playmakers we've seen this game. Sword Art has really been the facilitator for Huanfeng to be this good.
It really has. And Angel now starting to step up on this Kassadin. It's the kind of champion that you just can't ignore. Chains of Corruption, though, can be ignored because Yuki, he was just jumping through a portal. Peanut jumps on in for the Cataclysm. Lantern's there for Huanfeng, though. He'll walk away with his life. That's a lot of ultimates for a whole lot of nothing there from LGD, and this could be the re-engage now for Suning. Angel gonna just dive Peanut in the mid lane. The rest of the team having to rotate up to try and get onto him. Call of the Forge God finishes the kill. Hook onto Kramer from Sword Art. That's going to be it, ladies and gentlemen. Another double for Huan Fong. Make that a triple. Give him the quadra. Go on. Be a charitable team to your AD carry. It's going to go down, and Bew takes the kill. What a scumbag. But it's going to be the game. It's going to be the series going the way of Suning.
Suning coming out on top. I love that style. Call of the Forge God coming out from Bew to finish off Peanut. And Suning showing that they're a middle of the pack team. They aren't going to be down here with the likes of LGD, DMO, and